we are in the range, right? There was a range in here. There was a drop that came with, surprisingly, or should I say unsurprisingly, came with some intensified FUD news series. You know, Elon, starting with the Elon Musk suspending Tesla payments in here. You know, that then the Fed stuff, the China bans and whatnot. Okay, and we enter right into another sideways. So we had a sideways on top, drop, another sideways. Okay, usually it gives you constant continuation signals. With this difference that it, you know, supposing that it happens somewhere in here, in between, somewhere in between, with this context that we saw something that I call abnormal volatility on the downside for Bitcoin. Usual corrections, low time frame corrections range, you know, just give you the range of 15% decline, 15, okay, 1-5. The regular medium time frame corrections give you the declines, the retracement for about 30 to 40%. And we saw a historical extreme volatility of 50 to 60%, not to mention altcoins, which dropped like 90% in value. So Bitcoin did something that was very unprecedented. Okay, the last time it actually did such a massive correction was the COVID crash, okay, in March 2020. That was another example of 50-60% retracement, just like sort of like out of nowhere. So here again, I refer to that as a deja vu on the last Friday's webinar. So kind of like worth checking that out if haven't just yet. We had been there before. Okay, this is abnormal volatility. It's not a regular volatility for low time frame for 15%, nor for medium time frame for 30 to 40%. We are larger than this, and this abnormal volatility, okay, usually is supposed to be a good buying opportunity, because if we are in the bull market and we are still missing the final leg up, okay, which is the main assumption, then if you see, let's say, abnormal volatility giving you this range, okay, of prices, and this actually goes here, then abnormal volatility means it's not normal, it's outside the regular measures. It is actually a deviation of a mean. It is a deviation of an average decline. And if it is a deviation of an average decline, then anything that happens to be larger than the average is supposed to be an extreme. And this extreme, after the sell-off, is usually a good buying opportunity. If this extreme deviation happens, let's say if it's against the MA, you know, this is, let's say, MA50. If this extreme deviation happens, there you see the volatility spike, like extreme volatility in the upside direction over the average, then you could expect this to come down to retest the mean at one point. This would be the sell, okay? But this is a perfectly opposite situation. So fundamentally speaking, nothing's changed on Bitcoin. It's still valuable just the way it was, you know, yesterday. It's still the very same solution to the problems, you know, that Satoshi Nakamoto was supposed to invent and so on, right? So it's only temporary downside deviation coming from abnormal volatility, which had to do a lot with compressed FUD news coming, okay? Out of nowhere, you could see Bitcoin being bombarded, literally bombed left and right, day and night by FUD news. And suddenly, you know, you realize that FUD news only comes on after the declines, right? So it usually is supposed to give you some sort of a buying squeeze. Anything that is supposed to be, you know, just below the actual regular volatility is considered a good buying opportunity. On top of that, you have extreme fear that lasts for the last 63 days. It's an unprecedented event, and even bear market depths of 2018 did not have so much extreme fear for so long, okay? It is really a historical thing. We're making the history, we're watching the history being made. And Bitcoin is extremely oversold on the daily. It is extremely oversold on the weekly. And it only has happened 3 times in this bull market. This bull market started with the bottom of the bear market of the last cycle, okay? So started in here, December 2018. This is the bull market. So in this bull market, if you look at it, we only had a couple of times that here, and here that we had been so much oversold on the weekly time frame. So we are extremely oversold on the higher time frame on the weekly. We are extremely oversold on the daily. So all the macro time frames are telling you that we are heavily oversold, and somehow anytime soon, not today, not this minute, but in some time soon, supposed to see the upside pullback. Okay, and this upside pullback is where I could expect Bitcoin to go at least towards like $43,000. Okay, and in case that happens and is reclaimed, okay, then this brings you the chances of revisiting 50,000. Will it get you 23, 24? Who knows? You should be ready for that, right? I'm not an oracle. I don't have a crystal ball. You should be ready for that. You should always be, ready to invest only things that you can afford to lose, right? But macro timeframes are extremely oversold, and this is unprecedented event. Historically speaking, fear and greed index tells you extreme. It's not going to tell you perfect top or bottom, but it tells you usually when you can be profitable and expect those who buy into fear to be profitable way more than those who sell into fear. Okay, 12 hours is extremely oversold as well, right? Like anywhere you go, 4 hours in the oversold area in here, right? So all the time frames, all the major time frames are oversold. It does not mean it cannot drop to 23, 24. You should be ready for that. But if you get it, then this might be last buying opportunity of this bull market, in my opinion. So you should be ready for that. You should be ready. Keep some cash aside. Do not overtrade altcoins. Whenever Bitcoin hits extreme volatility, it would literally kill the altcoins and make it go down to zero, most of them, for them to never recover. So do not overtrade. Be wise. Do not apply leverage. Just trade a spot and get the dip.